I got the devil at my feet. I'm not careful as I speak. I'm a rebel but discreet. As I wrestle with the beast, I don't backpedal in my speech. To the devil is defeat. As he listens to the messages they telling you on beats, it's all about money, cars, drugs, women. How long till we all want different labels? They pushing the children, they listen. You wonder why we packing the prisons. Kanye West said slavery is a choice. He was right, and they wait for the media to tell them what is right. What is it to gain the world if you lose eternal life? I got the devil at my feet. He's so careful when he speak, but he convincing as he tell you by the bezel with the peace. And all these Jezebels, they wait for you to help them to your sweet. They get you drunk, they get you high, cause they work better when you weak. They blinding you with lust, it's hard to tell when you can't see. They convince you who you are is just a shell of what could be. Give you pleasure for the pressure until hell is what you seek. But telling you to repent is not what they'll rather hear on beats. They want the money, cars, drugs, women. How long till we all want different labels? They push it, the children, they listen and wonder why we packing the prisons. Kanye West said slavery is a choice. He was right, cause they wait for the media to tell them what is right. What is it to gain the world if you lose eternal life?
Mic check, mic check. Bryson Gray, Kanye Was Right. I think it's an appropriate song. Not right about everything, but you can see that he was right. People are out to get him, that's for sure. Mic check.
They want the money, cars, drugs, women. How long till we all want different labels? They push it, the children, they listen. You wonder why we packing the prisons. Kanye was right.
Getting started soon. Thank you for joining Osiris, Stuck in the Middle. One more Bryson song, short one, and we'll get started. Alex Jones and Kanye.
I'm way down.
Look what they did to Alex Jones. They tryna rob him of every single thing he owns. How you get sued for a Billy for saying something wrong? They won't stop till everybody being watched by drones. And look what they did to Ye. They want everything. JP Morgan banned his account, but they do Epstein. They care more about Kanye West than they do sex rings. It's like you only have free speech if you left wing. Hey, he wore a White Lives Matter shirt with Candace Owens. She showed her bill and money winning, they both exposed him. He need to get closer to God, though, that's what I'm hoping. Because the deep, they hate the stars when they can't control them. They bet Donald Trump while he was sitting president. I guess they don't care if that sets a dangerous precedent. Now they rating him and Mike Lindell without evidence. Is this still America and what it represents? And that's why I'm out here flexing while I'm slaying demons. We living in the end of times, you should shoot a season. Politicians betray this country, they committing treason. It's all for power, so they laughing while the country bleeding. Look what they did to Alex Jones. They tryna rob him of every single thing he owns. How you get sued for a Billy for saying something wrong? They won't stop till everybody being watched by drones. And look what they did to Ye. They want everything. JP Morgan banned his account, but they do Epstein. They care more about Kanye West than they do sex rings. It's like you only have free speech if you left wing. Look what they did to Andrew Tate. They banned Sneeko too. And everything they did to me, they gon' do to you. They run experiments on people like we in the zoo. They scare you into silence if you have a different view. But you can talk sex, murder, push kids to switch their gender. You can't preach repentance, but you can tell them to be sinners. Biden's daughter exposed them, but nobody gon' remember. The D's and R's work together. I know that y'all beg to differ, but look what they did to Alex Jones. They tryna rob him of every single thing he owns. How you get sued for a Billy?
Bryson Gray, not afraid to speak on it. Let me mute that down. What's good? Bryson Gray is that dude, not afraid to speak on it. We need courage right now. And it's a premium at this moment because they're trying to set a lot of pitfalls and steps. They're trying to set it up where you can't even defend Kanye's free speech, or you are going to be labeled what we labeled him. That's what they're going at, suing people for saying all kinds of just statements that would have never, you might have disagreed with in the past, but would have never caused an alarm. Saying Alex Jones on a video is just, you look at LawTube, they don't mess with Alex Jones anymore, other than Viva and Barnes, maybe, and Nick, of course, but they're lawyers and they're like, we don't want those problems. The only time I've seen them speak on it, and I haven't seen all their videos, the only time I've seen LawTube speak on Alex Jones, have the courage to have his name come out their mouth, is when they agree with what happened to him. That's where I see it most. The only people, Viva and Barnes and Nick, and then they got Nick. We need courage right now. I'm so disappointed in LawTube. So disappointed in them. They really came on the scene and educate. Without them, I don't think Tim Pool did a good job talking about Rittenhouse, but without them, I would have never put together Rittenhouse with the court case. That's how they blew up for me. Very educational, very entertaining. If you don't know, LawTube is just a bunch of lawyers that are on YouTube and they're independent. So it really matters who funds someone. Yeah, I still go by content, but if you are funded by certain people, you can't criticize certain people. And that's what we're having with the pandemic right now. If you're funded by the people who want to push a product, then you can't speak against them unless you're already willing to cut off your own paycheck. The beauty of LawTube is that they were independent. They didn't have to worry about that. I did a brief short on LawTube recently. LawTube drama is super lame.
Anybody who is in LawTube or calls themselves in LawTube, and if they are not covering this, if they're not supporting him, they are full of shit. You should unsubscribe from them.
He may not have named me specifically, but let's be real.
I found out about LawTube during the Rittenhouse era. They were fun and educational.
How do you not acquit after that?
Look at Bigger. Look at Bigger. Look at Big Boy.
Oh, Big Boy!
Now they're arguing over subs and they're just self-absorbed.
I am under threat of losing subs.
Outside of Viva and Barnes, much of LawTube didn't even cover the Alex Jones case. People fall out, that happens in life, but understand who's winning. The LawTube content is worse and they're much less powerful. I don't give a damn I don't give a damn how many subs you're losing. Go ahead and lose your subs. It ain't my problem. I don't have time for it. What's good? Thanks for stopping by. How's everybody doing? Got my tea. I don't even need my tea. It's just kind of becoming a habit. I was getting headaches from the caffeine on the tea, so that was happening, but it's Zest tea. I actually have it right here. This is not a paid anything. Y'all can holler at me if you want to do a paid, but it's just Zest tea, just has caffeine in it. You guys are going to see me do some Sydney Watson videos in a minute if somebody's willing to pay for it. School the World, what's good? Hello, Brass Hound. Thank you for stopping by. I'm standing with my brother, tired of watching them knock down great men. Brotherhood is the only way forward. Thank you. Andrea Murray with the comment. This can be a hard one to top, y'all. Free speech is now $1 billion. Fire. Brass Hound says, I hope we show up in force to vote, or we got some dark times in front of us. Man, if at the least, I'm not doing a lot of stuff in the streets. I'm going to talk about my dude Che, who is doing stuff in these streets, good stuff, white pill stuff. But at the very least, man, we got to vote. And I think it's coming. I don't want to assume it, but everything is pointing towards a red tsunami. And I wonder if I'm going to go through some of these stories here as to why some of this stuff is happening is because of that red tsunami coming. I'm going to start off with Joe Biden. You can look at this as a national security threat, potentially. In my opinion, it is a national security threat. When you take the piggy bank and you break it open. So my son literally has a piggy bank. And the piggy bank that we got him has a little screw on the bottom. And I talked to my wife and I was like, wait a second. The piggy bank isn't supposed to have an out. There is no thing to unscrew and say, oh, I just want to take $1 out. The old school piggy banks, I had a real old school pink ceramic piggy bank back in the day, Cleveland, Ohio. And the only way to get into that thing would be to smash it on the sidewalk. Otherwise, your money was in there. You can't get it out unless you kind of got some tweezers or something, maybe. And that's where we're at. Oh, thank you for super chat for Andrew Murray, $10. Andrea Murray, $10 and no comment. Well, thank you. Appreciate you. Keeps me motivated. I'm trying to do lives as many days as I can right now. It's coming down to 1 day a week, but I'll keep trying. Nikki said, just got my ballot in the mail I didn't ask for. Colorado has a strong Republican ticket. Yes, I'm out in Colorado as well. Dan Plemick says, I subbed all of them back when, and you have subbed all of them except for Viva, Barnes, Allison, and Hunley. He's talking about LawTube. Yeah, I know. But hey, no, I don't mean to be disrespectful. You go eat. If what they're doing is making the money, I'm not against that. Go eat. I have different interests. So no disrespect or anything like that. Dave W. Oh yeah, I knew you could not be stuck in the middle forever. Dave W. is like, I knew you weren't going to be stuck in the middle forever, but I am though, Dave. I still am. Because you know what? If I really weren't stuck in the middle anymore, I probably would change the title. The channel, the title. I call myself now Middle MAGA. You can go visit middlemaga.com because there's many beliefs I have that people on the channel would not believe. I am pro transhumanism. A lot of people are not. I'm pro universal basic income in theory. Obviously not with these lunatics in charge. But if we had a legitimate group of people in charge, I think universal basic income would be the most efficient way to handle kind of a socialistic type welfare floor for people to live on. I am for Medicare for all. I think pretty much Tulsi's plan where it keeps private insurance. And so I'm just not going to go into that, but that's why I'm still doing the middle stuff. So thank you again a lot for the super chat there, Andrea Murray. I don't have my contacts in, so if you see me squinting, that's why. I'll make it through. I'm just gonna make the screen big and take a look at it. Brasshound says, people coming in hot today. I'm feeling it. Brasshound says, well, they are lying about domestic production. I have a client who runs a huge portion of our oil industry, and he says it's the lowest it's ever been in 35 years. Yeah, it's there's reasons for that. And I'm not an expert. I just dove into this recently, just like with many other things. I'm going to go over a video later. I looked up what a S-70 was. There's a Russian general, allegedly unconfirmed, on Twitter who tweeted today just a simple, said C-70. And I kind of like it. It was kind of cool because I'm like, okay, I had to Google, what is it? And I Googled C-70 and I couldn't find it. And then people helped me figure out what was going on. But I don't know anything about war. I don't know anything about these weapons. I'm learning more about these weapons than I ever thought I would learn. I know how much the kamikaze drones are. I know how much some of these tanks they look like tanks, but they're not tanks. This stuff is really getting me into areas. I'm flexing into areas I've never been before. But let's look at the piggy bank. I'm going to go back to this. There's a graph down here I want to jump to. I want to jump to this graph. Whoops, they got me to Twitter. This graph here, oil piggy bank. That's exactly how they described it. By October, the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve will shrink to a 40-year low as the White House taps it to put a lid on global oil prices. So this if you're listening, there's a blue line, and the line represents how many barrels of oil we have based off of 100 million barrels of oils in our piggy bank of oil. Oil is like currency. Think about if you play StarCraft. I know I watched a lot of Destiny. He was a former professional StarCraft 2, I believe, player. I used to play this back in the day. These are these strategic games. But think about it if you needed to drive every day and you had oil at your house. If you had oil in the piggy bank, if you took the piggy bank oil out, your wife or husband or whoever else would say, you got to fill up the piggy bank. No different than the money in your bank. So we went off of a cliff since Biden was, I was about to say Obama. I don't think Obama's running the show, but who knows? It's definitely not Biden. Look at it. It's off the cliff. It's dropping by hundreds of barrels. So right now we're at the lowest we've been. It looks like in about 40 years is what the article, 40-year low. And we're at 350 million barrels in our piggy bank. And at the high, before the pandemic with Trump and all that, we were at 700. Then we dipped a little to 650 and then fell off the cliff to 350. This is a serious problem. We are in the middle of a world war. I'm flat out just calling it woke war 3, World War 3. We are here now. Now, it's not direct. People aren't getting drafted yet. Who knows what happens? We are on a pace, and I was talking about this war. To me, the pace that I see does not match a pace of this is going to be a long, drawn-out conflict. To me, I'm seeing, we're seeing pipelines bursted and allegedly sabotaged. We're seeing bridges sabotaged. We're seeing kamikaze drones flying into the capital city. Think about whatever city you live. Can you imagine having kamikaze drones flying through the air and people on the ground literally trying to shoot them out the air? With no luck. I mean, they got some of them, but you could see people missing because not an easy shot, obviously. This is. I know they're doing drones out in Syria, but this is a whole different animal. This is Ukraine. This is U.S. This is NATO. This is escalating, and the message Russia is saying is, if you escalate, we're escalating with you. So that means it could go at an exponential increase, meaning we could soon be at somewhere you don't want to be. So this article is talking about the Biden administration is releasing 15 million more barrels. Obviously, this is happening right before the election. He made the announcement here. This is a video from Twitter.
The Department of Energy will release another 15 million barrels from the...
Let me make sure I have my sound right so I don't get an echo. And then I'm going to play just a short little clip here of Biden and what he's talking about.
The Department of Energy.
Just 1 second. All right, so let me play this.
To release another 15 million barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, extending our previously announced release through the month of December. Independent analysts have confirmed that drawdowns from the reserve so far have played a big role in bringing down oil prices, bringing them down. So we're going to continue to responsibly use that national asset.
Yeah, we know that it's bringing it down. He's delivering the message as if somebody made the argument that it wasn't. I mean, that's the most basic economics, supply and demand. Yeah, it's bringing it down. We know that. So you go through, people are asking questions. Biden said we need to responsibly increase American oil production without delaying or deferring our transition to clean energy. So he's waffling there with that. And later on, people asked him some questions about it. He said, without the choices, gas prices would be higher, of course. And then he passed the blame.
The choices made by other countries are affecting the price of gas here at home.
So he's passing the buck. He's blaming other countries for this. No, these are decisions that we made. Life happens all over the world. That's why more and more people like myself are coming out of the closet as nationalists, because I don't know what's happening out in the world, but I know what we can do here. And I want somebody who is a nationalist as the leader of our country, period. Here's the disturbing part. Joe Biden said, by selling from the oil reserve at a higher price, they're actually going to make money.
By selling from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve at the higher price of $90 earlier this year, and then refilling it in the future at a lower price around $70, will actually make money for the taxpayers.
Trump wanted to fill the reserves when oil was $24 a barrel, but the Democrats blocked him. And he's trying to cheer over being able to buy basically at 90, at 70, and then make money, $20 on selling it. It was 24 a barrel. So he's saying that we sold it at 90 earlier this year, and then we'll refill it at a lower price. No, I'm not feeling that. And here's the questions. They actually asked them some fair questions.
Appreciate it. I don't hear. Can you speak louder?
What is your response?
He's not funny to me, man. I don't know if it's just he tries to, a lot of the cringe moments from him is when he tries to be funny. He's just not a funny dude. He tries to be witty and funny. Like, remember the classic Rush used to play this clip all the time. Chuck, was it? I forgot who it was, where Biden, the guy is, confined to a wheelchair. He's a paraplegic. And Joe's like, Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Show him, Chuck. Show him who you are, Chuck. Stand up, Chuck. And he's like, oh, he just tries too hard to be slick.
Mr. President, what is your response?
I don't hear. Can you speak louder?
What is your response to Republicans who say you are only doing this SPR release to help Democrats in the midterms?
Where have they been the last 4 months?
What kind of own is that? See, he thought it was a yes queen moment. The last 4 months. What are you talking about? That's 4 months leading up to an election midterm.
That's my response.
Is it politically motivated, sir?
No, it's not.
3 weeks before the midterms.
Look, it makes sense. I've been doing this for how long now? It's not politically motivated at all. It's motivated to make sure that I continue to push on what I've been pushing on. And that is making sure there's enough oil that's being pumped by the companies so that we have the ability to be able to produce enough gas that we need here at home, oil we need here at home, and at the same time, keep moving in the direction of providing for alternative energy. That's what I've been doing. Now, the problem is these guys are asleep. I don't know where they've been. Appreciate it.
So there it is. Let me know what you think. Am I making too much out of this? At some point, the piggy bank doesn't have anything left, though. We'll see what happens at that point. I'll take a look at the comments there. I gotta enlarge my screen. He's usually an angry prick. It's true. It really is true, especially as he's gotten older. He always had an edge to him, even going back to the famous interrogation of Clarence Thomas and stuff like that. He always had like a contentious edge to him at times, but now he's just really, really bad. He's very sarcastic. Yeah, I agree. He tries to be sarcastic, but it just doesn't come across right. Almost like when he tries to touch certain people when, it's weird to me. Imagine if somebody, let's say you had the best intentions and you didn't mean anything bad by it, and you were touching certain people a way that others felt uncomfortable and thought was inappropriate. Even if you didn't mean it inappropriately, even if you had the best intentions, I would be like, I'm not touching anybody. I'd be like, don't touch me. Don't bump into me. But instead, he still is going for that. And I think that's part of it. There is some type of narcissism there that is, I don't know if he's lost or what, but Something's wrong. I have like 100 different articles in here to go over. This just kind of broke. I just found out. I thought this was the vote where the CDC was going to kind of recommend these procedures, the minor procedure. But it seems like there's a vote tomorrow that's going to be the one that usually school districts abide by. But breaking news, the CDC panel unanimously votes to add that thing to the childhood schedule. So that, I don't know, I was looking into this because this is where, this vote here that the CDC is doing, this is where a lot of the school districts, to my knowledge, I still got to look into see how that works. The CDC doesn't have any power or control, but if you are in a local area that says we're going to do what the CDC says, then that's how we got into this whole thing in the first place. CDC said something and we abide by the CDC. So we haven't learned anything yet. Well, Florida is still stepping up. They said they're going to do whatever they do. And I'm not making any determination here. I'm just talking about what happened. The panel voted unanimously 15-0 for the CDC to recommend that children get that thing and boost it. The CDC is now almost certain to add so it's not there yet. See, I wasn't clear at first on this. Let me make sure I'm clear on this article here. Sorry, I'm not even sharing my screen. So this article, some people might not be able to see it. I'll make it as big as possible to see if people can see it. So the panel voted to recommend that children get that thing. They're almost certain to add, this is via Becker News, Kyle Becker. CDC is now almost certain to add these things to its childhood schedule, which schools often rely upon to mandate them in order to attend public schools. So my understanding is the schools don't have to do that. But if they don't do that, then how are they going to present that? In certain areas, there's no way they can present that. It's going to be mandated. In other areas, they might not. Florida's already said they're not going to do it. I'm not going to say whether that's good or bad. I want to make sure that that's clear. I'm just saying what they've said they're going to do. I would have to go to Rumble to give you my opinion on it. Just to feel safe. Maybe you can on YouTube, but I just don't feel safe doing it. So they opened up its scheduled vote for the public comment. People were fine. I did some feedback in there too, because people were passing this around on Twitter, and I just did a quick little thing in there. So there's fierce blowback, tens of thousands of comments poured in, and the great majority seemingly in direct opposition. I don't think there's a lot of passion for it. So most of the comments were against it, to the vote to add it to the childhood schedule. So this is a big decision. My understanding is they're going to be voting tomorrow. And this is 15-0, so I don't know what we expect the vote tomorrow to be. But this was unanimous. My understanding is they're going to vote tomorrow. And the vote tomorrow is going to be the one to decide whether they recommend it on the childhood schedule. And then, I don't know most, but then that will cause that trickle down reaction. So we are going to be able to see which areas just step up and say something else, whether that's right or wrong. We'll see who does that and who just acquiesces. The ACIP's decision to add the shots is based on hidden data and in defiance of the minute COVID risk factors for healthy children. So I just want to make sure I'm saying stuff that I can on this. So I'll stop because I don't want to get into any pitfalls here. I'm like, can you say that or can you not say that on here? So I'm just reporting the news. I'm not making any determination, but I will be looking at tomorrow. And I want to end with this on this topic just because it's just having to dodge the pitfalls is just not It's just, it makes it difficult to have a conversation. So I've played around with the keywords and I don't really see any difference. You might hear some videos where I say, like instead of saying Ukraine, I was saying sunflower. Well, I messed up and said Ukraine in the video, but I'm not really, I'm trying to test with these words. I'm not really seeing any difference myself in like, who knows, but it doesn't feel like I see much of a difference. But my takeaway on this schedule is my wife and I could be having some difficult conversations. I don't know about anybody else's, and that's life. I'm not blaming anybody. That's how life works. But my 2 children are not getting that juice. Okay? That ain't happening. So if where we are is mandating that juice, they won't be having it. They will not partake. So what that means, that's some life-altering stuff, because you can say homeschool, which I'm perfectly fine with. There's something I would have never thought of 3 years ago, 2 years ago even. You can say that, but then we both work. That's obviously you can't work and homeschool. Now, what I would say is we could go and holler at, there's a lot of people in the neighborhood who have kids just around the same age. We could say, I don't know. I don't even know all this stuff. I got to bring, you know what? I'm going to try and reach out to Deb Philman, one of the most respected people in education that, just for me, I don't know a lot of people, but she's so bright to say, hey, I might bring her, I might try to schedule her as soon as she's available to talk about, like, how do you recommend me going to neighbors? And I haven't even talked to my wife about that, but and saying, hey, can we pool our money together and hire someone and do our own thing? We're getting really close to that situation. Really, we should be at that situation now for them to even think about this. But it would be a life-altering thing. Even if you get together and pool your money, how much is that going to cost? It might not be as expensive as you think, but it's really out of the box, out of what my normal is, and you've got to break out of that. Let me see what you all think about this. How many of y'all are homeschooling now? Katie Maria says the CDC lost all credibility during the Rona. School the World says Kansas has ignored these things, these mandates. We are a red state, but our governor's Democrat. Katie Maria says the CDC, another failure of government. Can we even say that anymore? I really hope we can. Basically say that our federal government has failed. Who's the governor of Kansas? I don't even know. I have no idea who the governor of Kansas is. But good comments. Katie Maria says the children don't need that juice. I think it's up to, I for damn sure don't think they need that juice. And I think it's up for everybody to make their own decision. But yeah, Steve Johnson says, I'm looking forward to homeschooling once my daughter is born and is of age. Props to you. See, that's the best way. Before they're even born, you're going into it with that plan. You can understand, my wife is more of like a, what? I think her mindset is probably similar to Destiny's. Destiny, if you don't know, is a YouTuber. Very bright dude. My wife's very bright. Destiny, on a recent live even, said, I'm pro-establishment. I trust the establishment. We need the establishment. And I think my wife's in that camp too. So just to say, I don't believe in I don't want to say that. I don't want the video to be hurt. To say that I don't want them to get that juice would be, she already knows where I'm at with that, but it would be a difficult. Laura Kelly. Damn, why do I not know her? I am ignorant. Thank you, School of the World. I do not know anything about Laura Kelly. Katie Maria says, my siblings put their kids in private school. No need to homeschool yet here in Florida. Oh, see, Katie, you're in Florida. Now you kind of rub my face in it. You like, yeah. Katie Marie's like, I don't know about, I'm just joking with you, of course, friend of the show. Katie Marie's like, I don't know about y'all, but I'm in Florida. We good. Katie Maria's like, good luck. What do you want? She's like, what do you want me to do? I don't. Come on through. I'm just playing with you, but yeah, I'm happy that you're over there. I wish I was. I am not going to lie. There was no lie there. I wish I was. Joe Biden talked about the oil companies and all the profits they're making. Okay, you want to talk about the profits? I'm fine with that. You mentioned that.
My message to the American energy companies is this. You should not be using your profits to buy back stock or for dividends.
Okay.
Not now. Not while a war is raging.
Oh. Whoa. Come again?
My message to the American energy companies is this. You should not be using your profits to buy back stock or for dividends. Not now. Not while a war is raging. You should be using these record-breaking profits to increase production.
Does that sound like somebody who might be, I don't want to be alarmist. I'm just off the top of my head here. I'm not trying to make any definitive statement. But that came across as somebody who's like, oh, we're at war. We need something like martial law. How do you make a company not do what they want to do?
My message to the American energy companies.
And he looks very angry here. Is that just me? Am I scared? Let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. He looks angry. I mean, his mouth even frowned.
My message to the American energy companies is this. You should not be using your profits to...
You're not my daddy. I'm not for the oil companies and their profits. Don't get me wrong. But I'm for damn sure not. I don't know what he's talking about here. The government has no say in that. They shouldn't have no part of that.
Is this. You should not be using your profits to buy back stock or for dividends.
I'm not for that, but wait, are you supposed to tell them what they're supposed to do with their profits? What are they supposed to do with their profits? How much profit is okay? Do we apply the same to social media? Do we apply the same to any organization? Or is it just this company these companies right now?
Not now. Not while a war is raging. You should be using it.
Oh, I thought it was a proxy war. Oh, it's a war. It's that type of war.
These record-breaking profits to increase production and refining. Invest in America. For the American people. Bring down the price you charge at the pump to reflect what you pay for the product.
What? You don't get to do that. You don't get to say what the cost is just because you want it to cost something. That is called coercion. That is called force. And Ben Jacked says, it's funny, I don't remember Joe Biden telling Pfizer, Moderna, or J&J what they should be doing with their profits during a crisis. Remember, we were at war with the pandemic. I never heard anybody in DC, well, we heard MAGA. Outside of MAGA, I didn't hear anybody, and Thomas Massey, you're an honorary Magan. What do you want to call it? I was going to say Magan. You're an honorary member of MAGA. Congratulations, Thomas Massey. I don't remember anyone outside of MAGA and Thomas Massey talking about the profits of these companies. So you get to pick and choose. That's the problem I have. Alex Jones sued $1 billion judgment, which is just completely clown world. But do you think that's going to go both ways? Do you think that's going to go in the other direction? Because that's going from this is not left or right. It's going to Alex Jones, whether it's true or not, however you want to feel, is a populist figure. So it's the establishment versus a populist figure. It never will go populist figure versus the establishment. I think people got it confused where they were like, well, it won't go from the left to the right or the right to the left. I think it might go from the right to the left to the left to the right. It will never go up, down. You have establishment, you have populists. It will always go, you representing populists, whether it's Elon Musk, Ye, whoever, you can get sued, but you will never go up and get the cabal or anything like that, obviously. That's all I wanted to say on that. Let me know what you think. Going through the different stories today. Could you imagine being Carol Roth? And she is, I don't know what her background is, but she's very good on, I forget what her exact background. I actually have her book. I don't even remember her background, but she's very good on finance. And she talked about the financial impact of the pandemic and the shutdowns, not the pandemic, the shutdowns. And could you imagine her watching Bill Maher kind of breaking news? It's 2022. Breaking news. We're now learning just how bad the collateral damage is post-pandemic.
Now we're getting some information after a while. We have time for find out just how bad the collateral damage has been. Here's just a few cases. The pandemic erased 2 decades of progress in math and reading. See, right away, I got to say, this pisses me off. I see these headlines all the time. The pandemic didn't do that. The way we handled the pandemic did that. The pandemic is certainly...
Agreed. But remember, I want you to watch this from the standpoint of you. Many of you, we've talked about this for a long time. Tim Pool goes, you can tell, go watch Tim Pool when he talks about Bill Maher. Tim goes hard at Bill Maher, way harder than me. I'm going at him here and this is the reason why Tim goes after Bill Maher. Tim's like, bruh, you like 2 years late. And you know, it's like you're late to a meeting or something like that, and you come in, you're like, oh, I'm sorry. And then you kind of quietly, like you don't want to interrupt the meeting or whatever. And you kind of like, I'm sorry. And you kind of like all kind of hunched down and you're like, I'm sorry. And then you kind of go into the back. Bill Maher is late to the meeting and he comes in with like his chest poked out. What?
Now we're getting some information after a while. We have time for...
We've been getting information. Carol Roth has a book that's been out. The book's been out. Carol Roth replied, I'll continue that clip, but she was like, bruh. She literally was like, bruh, I wrote a book on it during 2020. So Carol Roth is... I really have a feeling that was a really hard tweet for her to send like that. That was a really hard tweet because she wrote a whole book on it during 2020. So she had to put the hyphen and said during 2020. And Bill Maher started it out by saying like he had some new information for everybody.
Now we're getting some information after a while. We have time for find out just
so I agree with as time goes on, you get more information, but it just comes across as, and Bill has not really talked about the damage of it much. So for him to come out and like, oh, we got information now. And she's like, I wrote a book on it. She's pretty, I mean, she's been on Tim Pool's show. That's how I found out about her, actually. I wrote a book on it during 2020. Happy to share. That was a Minnesota nice passive-aggressive tweet right there. Oh, completely warranted. No shade. She was trying to do it as nicely as possible. I think in her head, she might have had different thoughts in her head. Like for the after show, like the Rumble after show. I'm not doing one, but maybe I will at some point. But for the Rumble after show, she had thoughts in her head, but then it came out very diplomatic, let's just say.
Now we're getting some information after a while. We have time for find out just how bad the collateral damage has been. Here's just a few cases. The pandemic erased 2 decades of progress in math and reading. See, right away, I got to say, this pisses me off. I see these headlines all the time. The pandemic didn't do that. The way we handled the pandemic did that. The pandemic certainly was a thing. But let's not just say the pandemic, because it was not written in stone that we had to handle it the way we did. ACT scores are the lowest in 30 years. Anxiety and depression way up. The body mass index doubled for kids 2 to 19.
For kids, shoot. I probably put on 20 from the pandemic. I'm trying to get my little workout on. Talked with Ray Studios. We got a different channel where we talk no politics, prestige, culture dynamics. You can also go to middlemaga.com. I'll put those videos on there too. But we're just talking about being healthy, getting right. This isn't all about politics. I'm just trying to, this channel is going to be pretty solid politics, do the other stuff on other channels. But yeah, we got some body mass issues. I'm not Lizzo. I'm not going to be up here trying to defend my fat ass. That's not going to be happening. My beautiful fat ass. No, it's not cute. You could think it is if you want, but nah, it's not cute.
Drug overdose deaths. Murders way up. Inflation at a 40-year high. Domestic violence increased. Oh, and my favorite.
Remember, we talked about this. Now I'm getting in my feelings about this. A lot of this stuff kind of at risk, not knowing if you're going to get a strike on YouTube. We talked about all throughout like the end of 2020, all throughout 2021. Like everyone, like a lot of people. Now, who cares? I welcome you to the party. Just I think he should be a little bit more humble.
Car crashes. They couldn't figure this out. Like way, way, way up. And finally, I love this. This is the expert said, you know what it is? People just went fucking mental. They just went nuts. They're like, I'm home. The fuck.
Apologize for the language.
Kids are here all the time. My stupid husband is here all the time. I'm just going to take it out on the highway. And they did.
There was a group, the Great Barrington.
So that's it. Oh, yeah, they're going to talk about the Great Barrington, kind of the debate. And that's what got Ron DeSantis to open up. But I just wanted to show that just to be like, damn. Really more just from Carol's standpoint. I thought her response was funny. That's the only reason I really took a look at that story there. But I'm going to go into what I talked about with Russia. So I don't know if this is a verified. This guy here, I don't know how to pronounce the name. Surovikin. Surovikin. I don't know how to pronounce these words. But so that's a general. If you look it up on Google, it's a general in the army. Is what I don't know if that's him, but has the same name. Sergei Surovikin. I don't know how to do it. So that's what it looks like. So I don't know if that's him or not, but that's where this is stemming from. This is a great account on Twitter, ZeroSum24. Seems like that account has been. I guarantee you, there's some CIA watching that account. I will flat out bet everything I own that that's the case. But this account on Twitter, I do interact with it. So therefore, I hope my CIA agent is a nice person. Seriously. Because I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to do anything crazy. So I hope you're nice, FBI, whoever it is. Go to middlemaga.com and find out a way to support. You know, if you're gonna follow me, at least sign up on Locals or something. Just throw in the super chat. I don't know. But I replied, I'm like, what is going on? So I kind of like these tweets where it's just one word. So he says C-70. This is from the Russian general, and you know things are popping off. They're trying to get ready for this this big battle. I don't know how to. I can't pronounce these cities, but it's gonna be a big battle coming here. And to see this, I was like, whoa. So this general posted C-70. That's all this general posted. So I come down. I'm like, okay, I'm ignorant here. What is this a reference to? Because I Googled C-70, and it was nothing clear about it. It was just something in a video game about a 130 millimeter machine gun. I'm like, is that what that is? I was like, it can't be, because that's not like, well, I mean, that's bad, but you're not going to be boisterous about that. So we're crowdsourcing the truth. And then Artie Rollins says, C is S to them. And when I did the search, I saw S-70, but I was like, I don't know if that's it. The S-70 is a Russian stealth 6th generation heavy unmanned combat aerial vehicle that is in development. That's just a fancy way of saying it's a badass drone. That's it. That's what it is. I was like, wow, thank you. So I looked this up and I'm like, whoa, So here, I'm going to keep the sound down so I don't get copyright. It is a drone. So it looks like you have to have a plane with it. That's the drone there. If you're watching, it kind of looks like the B-52 bomber, kind of like a smaller version of that. That's a drone. It's unmanned. You play it like a video game, quite frankly. So the controller, if you watch the video, if the video keeps going, the controller is in the plane. So imagine when you can do this stuff without even having a plane. I don't know how close they have to be together. I don't know if they've already gotten through that. That's a drone. That's a drone. So I don't know if that's the real general, but what I'm saying is I'm looking at this stuff. I'm like, they're not out here playing games. This is not a joke. And what they're talking about is the general, somebody else replied, I'll play this video a little bit more here. The general replied, the general applied to somebody in the past. I don't know if that's the real general again, but I'm going to show you what he said. But so you've got a plane and then you've got a drone next to it. So you can see why you need anti-surface to air. Like you need a ton of them. I don't know who knows how many of these they got. Just so there's no man in it. And I don't know what capabilities it even has, but it can fly really fast. And I think let me show you what I think they're trying to do. I don't think there's anything that they showed the joystick in here at one point, or maybe I missed that already. But yeah, I think that's good enough on the video. So somebody replied, did they reply to me? So I was like, this is just a fancy way of saying it's a huge badass drone. As you can see, our war is becoming robotic in nature. So somebody said right here, Shanzi replied, and this general said, I don't want to sacrifice any more Russian soldiers in a guerrilla war against hordes of fanatics armed by NATO to no avail. We have enough forces and technical means to bring Ukraine to a complete surrender. That's him. That's not me. That's what he said on Twitter. So what they're going at, and then you saw the kamikaze drones. So what they're going at, to me, is they are trying to break the will of the citizens of Ukraine, especially Kiev. They're trying to break the support for the war. And they are going to try, even though Russia has a lot of manpower that they could sacrifice in this battle, and they will, this general, there's new leadership up atop. And I think this general is saying, we don't want to do any more guerrilla war because they're armed by NATO and it looks like they're causing some damage with whatever you and I, or whoever in America paying with their tax dollars. So they're like, okay, we're going to start doing this. So the U.S. is going to meet, and to me, it sounds like they're probably going to do surface to air, some type of drone defense. I don't know. The whole thing I'm reading about this and learning from people is some of these things can evade radar, and so the anti-air missiles can't pick them up. So you've got to have. That's why they say we need $7 billion a month, because we need to get the new stuff. Somebody got to stop this. That's my final take on that one. Somebody's got to stop this. I respect those people that went on and they heckled AOC. I respect that. Let's take a trip over to Arizona. Arizona, Trafalgar is one of the better polling outlets. I go to Rich Barris. That's my dude. But if you go to Trafalgar, the Trafalgar group, they're pretty good. Polling is just polling. This was conducted October 16 and October 17th, so it's pretty recent. And thanks everybody for stopping by. I don't have my contacts in, so it's hard to read the comments, so I apologize. But this is an Arizona survey here. Likely 2022 general election voters. So let's take a look. Margin of error, that's very important. About 3% is the margin of error. So that means if somebody's up by 3%, that means it's a statistical tie. So if somebody's up by 3%, that means the range is it's a tie to they could actually be up by 6%. Confidence, 95%. Response distribution, 50%. Methodology, all that. So let's look at this. Mark Kelly versus Blake Masters. And Blake Masters is not getting, last I checked, he's not getting any funding from Mitch and DC. Blake Masters is probably the number one Senate. I'm trying to think. Other than Kathy Barnett, and obviously she's not in there, Blake Masters is who I would want in the Senate. He's going up against Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly comes across as a Tim Ryan type Democrat because they're in purplish areas. They've got them within 1%. So remember, the margin of error is 3%. And I don't think they're calculating this right. I think this red wave is coming. I really do. I've been going back and forth. If you saw me earlier this year, last year, I was like, it's a tsunami. It's coming. And then I was like, the only thing that stopped me was, I was like, they must know something that I don't know. Because there is nothing, I do not purport myself to be smarter than these people or the people behind them, the corporations. No. There's nothing that I know that they don't know. So there's got to be something up. But I was like, okay. Then the whole Dobbs Roe v. Wade thing happened. And then that did, I think, sway things way more than I thought it would. Way more. But now we're back to gas prices, groceries, 401ks. For some people, 401ks went down from 25 to 50%. Imagine if you're about to retire. That's a problem. You're not going to be able to retire like you wanted to. And there's no quick way to make up a 25% loss. That takes years. At least, and under a good market scenario, that would take anywhere from best case scenario 2 to 7 years. So now we're back to kitchen table issues. And I have a feeling that even Trafalgar is off on here, and I would guess Blake Masters is up 2 or 3%. Just a guess. This is a race. Some people talked about, I talked about Shane Hazel, libertarian, who spoiled the Stacey Abrams, Brian Kemp, uniparty trash. He was in there, and wow, did that shake that debate up. But this is a race I don't need to see a libertarian. I do not. So there's a lot of nuance to this stuff because I got feedback from some people who are like, I don't want to hear about libertarians right now. We try to get this red going on. And I'm like, I'm not here for red going on. I am not here for the red. I'm here for the MAGA. That's what I'm here for. So I'm only here for super MAGA. I'm only here for major MAGA. I'm only here for cool MAGA. I'm only here for MAGA. I'm not here for Brian Kemp. He can go get wrecked. I literally do not care if Stacey Abrams beats Brian Kemp. I know a lot of people on the channel would disagree because of lesser of two evils. I'm not there. I'm just not in that space. No disrespect to you. I can't stress this enough. I literally couldn't care. I do kind of care about the Fetterman stuff because that is a whole different thing. If Fetterman was of his right mind, I couldn't care less. But bringing in transhumanism, that's a whole different thing. We got a whole different argument. I got a transhumanism concern. But for them, I don't care. This one, I do care. I don't want a libertarian. I don't know who Mark Victor is or what. You need to get the hell up out of here. So I'm with you on that. I just get to choose who I think is real or who's not. So that's good news. Don't look at that as bad news. Down 1. I think he's up. It's tight. It's a toss-up, though. That's going to be interesting. If the election for governor were held today, for whom would you vote? Go ahead and get wrecked. Kari Lake is up by a little bit right around the margin of error. I think Kari Lake's going to win by 6. I think it's a wrap. I think it's done. Still go vote. I don't live in Arizona. Do not take anything for granted. But I'm not, I want to be able to talk about, I think I'm going to take off of work. I'm going to take election day off of work, I think. Maybe the day after, because most of the stuff's going to happen at night. And I might stream. I'm going to have to talk to my wife. I might stream for hours. Because it's that big. I want to celebrate. Even if the red wave doesn't happen and say Carrie Lake wins, I want to celebrate that. She will have a lot of work to do or whatever, but check that out. Look out for the channel. I'm probably going to do something election day. And then election night, really. That night is going to be the big part. So I'll stream like Charlie Kirk there. I mean, Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec they did a lot of primary stuff. Just great stuff. I like Steve, what's his name? Kornacki on NBC, but that's a different type of vibe, even though he's great. Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec is who I'm going to go to that night. That's going to be a big, big night. So Carrie Lake is up. I think it's 6 points. People don't like voting for someone who comes across as a coward. That matters. That is significant. People don't like voting for somebody who, as a leader, who they can't look at as a leader, even if they don't like the opposition. So this was just from last week. How do you vote for this person?
Just wanted to ask you a brief question about the statements that you've made. Oh, you spilled your soda. Are you going to clean that up or just leave that here for the business?
You got nowhere to run. You got nowhere to hide. Are your ideas that bad that you need to spill your soda all over the place and make a mess and you're just walking away with that angry look on your face?
They're now both currently hiding in bathrooms. Mr. Wolf was here to save her. Now he's hiding in a bathroom. The car's locked, Ms. Hobbs.
This is like, horror movies are out right now. You're up to Halloween. You try to get away from the big, bad, ugly questions.
The car's locked, Ms. Hobbs.
And you get up to the car door and you're like, damn it,
The car's locked, Ms. Hobbs.
Why didn't you open I locked the back door.
The car's locked, Ms. Hobbs.
It's not open. In her head, as soon as that car pulled off, she's like, that goddamn back door.
The car's locked, Ms. Hobbs.
When you roll up for the exit plan, the back door should be open. So if that's one of your options, and School of World, new member, thank you. Just $1. I'm like the dude outside of Walmart, just $1. But no, a great friend of the show, great supporter. Thank you, School of the World. I couldn't care less about the subscriber number. When you've got people like School of the World and GB, I see you came through, and Bishop. I hadn't talked to Bishop in a while. He commented on one of the videos. I was like, so happy to see Bishop. I think it's a he. A lot of people, I don't know if they're he or she. It doesn't matter to me. But thank you. I appreciate you. See, don't forget about red, MAGA, whatever. I'm not voting for somebody who's like that. It just won't happen. You're not a leader. You should have no business being in, much less governor. I don't want you to run anything, much less a state. I need you to stay out of it. Katie Hobbs. So you see Katie Hobbs there. And then you look at Carrie Lake. And then in contrast, you have somebody, even people who hate Carrie Lake, they like her courage.
Wait, tell them who's going on CNN after you.
Katie Hobbs. Should be interesting. It should be interesting. She won't. I would love to go on with her at the same time. You said, why don't you go on at the same time? I would, just in case Katie's watching right now, we're streaming this live. In case she's watching, Katie, I will debate you on a stage. I will debate you in a parking lot. I will debate you in a library. I will debate you in a bar. I will debate you in a car. I will debate you on CNN. I will debate you on MSNBC.
Let's go.
I'll even debate you on The View and let Joy Behar and Whoopi ask the questions. But show some courage. Show some courage.
It's not just talk. I truly believe that. I believe if The View offered her a spot to come on, I think the only qualification is she would have to be able to record it herself, right? You can't have them have the only recording. That she would go on, and you know what? The View would never. They invited Ron DeSantis on. Why wouldn't they invite Carrie Lake on? You know why? They don't want those problems. They don't want that. The View actually talked about Carrie Lake, and they have too much respect for Carrie Lake. They're like, Carrie Lake is polished. Carrie Lake knows what she's doing. There's a clip that was going viral. Let me play it. I think I got it right here. And they were talking about, they admitted that Katie Hobbs is like, she's kind of feckless. She makes Merrick Garland look courageous. Like she's got no scruples. They couldn't even defend her. So I think this is it right here. So let me share my screen. Okay, here it is right here. So even The View had to take a look at this and be honest about it.
Still get answers to serious questions, but I'm most interested in the debate that didn't take place, which is Arizona gubernatorial race. You have Carrie Lake, a known election denier, up against Katie Hobbs, the Democrat. Yeah. They were both on CNN yesterday, and Dana Bash actually did the job, I think, of CNN of what voters need to see, which is asking questions of the Democratic candidate. I get not wanting to elevate election deniers, but at the same time, Carrie Lake is on the ballot. Katie Hobbs needs to debate her.
Katie Hobbs didn't debate her own Democratic,
right.
Yeah, the person she was up against
and
anyway.
What I worry about is a lot of Democrats are rightly saying we're concerned about the future of democracy, yet many have put money behind nominating or trying to boost election deniers and then going on the other side to not debate them. That's a huge problem.
Well, I think it's a problem, though, if you're going to debate someone that is going to spread misinformation, lie.
I love Sunny because you look at her face and you can tell when she doesn't believe what she's saying. So look at this. That's the look right there. She doesn't believe anything she's saying.
Is going to spread misinformation.
She's trying to do a fake smile.
Lie.
But you liked Herschel Walker.
I said he did better. I didn't like him. I think he did better than expected. But I think election denial is a different thing.
But that's not why Katie Hobbs is not debating. Katie Hobbs is not debating Carrie Lake because Carrie Lake was on TV for 22 years and is very good on TV. And Katie Hobbs seems not to be. If Katie Hobbs was an able debater, because remember, Sonny, what's a debate going to be? It's not just going to be about the election. That's going to be one question, and they can fight about it. But they also need to answer, about the inflation. They need to answer about the economy. They need to answer about climate change.
Governor if she can't answer
it's
that.
Arizona. Well, I don't know if she.
The View basically said she has no business being governor. What do y'all think is good? Do you think Carrie Lake could get her by 10? Maybe. I mean, in Arizona, that would be insane. I think it's going to be 6. If The View is talking about you like that, that might be a conservative estimate. The View said you don't have the right credentials. The biggest thing that they could say about Carrie Lake is that, one, they keep going back to it. They keep going back to it. They keep going back to that well. Carrie Lake, though, see, the thing about Carrie Lake is she's cut from a different cloth. She's taking the argument, she's taking the battle right to them. She's not going to stand by and just not be on the offensive. So they kept saying, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. Well, Carrie Lake's like, okay, you want to have that conversation? Let's have that conversation. This is why they don't want these problems with her. 1.8 million views, like everything she does goes viral too.
If you're going to start throwing around terms like election denier, let's remember who the other election deniers were: Hillary Clinton and all the Democrats. Next question.
So the question is, you over the weekend, you took the Google all over the world. Like, your name was ringing everywhere. And one of them, yes, ma'am, because I have the scale. And one of them has, and most of them were asking, is she an election denier, Carrie Lake? And that was like going around on all different cable news. What do you elaborate on this?
I'm actually shocked you asked that question, George. Well, actually, Anthony, where's Anthony?
Once in a while.
Here, Anthony. You know, I did a little, actually, Anthony, how old are you?
20.
Are you a journalist?
No.
Well, you did better research than half these people. Let's talk about election deniers. Here's 150 examples of Democrats denying election results. Oh wow, look at this. This is from Joe Biden's press secretary. Reminder, Brian Kemp stole the gubernatorial election from Georgians and Stacey Abrams. Democrats saying that. Is that an election denier? Oh, look at this. Just heard Republican Ryan Costello said it would be difficult for Stacey Abrams to win because she lost her state bid, but yet she's still claiming she never lost. This is outrageous. Hillary Clinton. Trump is an illegitimate president. Is she an election denier? This one says, was the 2016 election legitimate? It now definitely is a question worth asking. That's the Los Angeles Times. So it's okay for Democrats to question elections, but it's not okay for Republicans. It's a crock of BS. Every one of you knows it. We have our freedom of speech, and we're not going to relinquish it to a bunch of fake news propagandists. If you want a copy of these, I'm sure that Anthony would help you get a copy and help you learn how to be journalists, but look it up. It's been happening for a long time. Since 2000, people have questioned the legitimacy of our elections. And all we're asking is that in the future, we don't have that have to happen anymore. When I'm governor, when I'm governor, we're going to make sure we have honest elections. We want the Democrats, the Independents, and the Republicans to all know that their vote counted. We want fair, honest, and transparent elections, and we're going to deliver that for the people. But just remember, guys, this is one page after Hillary Clinton says George W. Bush was selected president, not elected. So let's start, if you're going to start throwing around terms like election denier, let's remember who the other election deniers were, Hillary Clinton and all the Democrats.
This might be my last video, but it was well worth it to see Carrie Lake. Basically, if you don't know where this term receipts, to my knowledge, it came from the Housewives. I forget which one it was. It was so crazy. I remember I had a coworker and we're virtual and I knew they were a Housewives fan. As soon as I saw it, I had to reach out to them. I was like, did you see that? So what happened, I think it was on a reunion show of one of these Housewives shows. They were having some beef over something. And one of the characters, it's real world, but one of the people on the show took out a 3-ring binder of receipts. She's like, I have the receipts here. And that's what Carrie Lake has right here. Here are the receipts. If you want to have the conversation, let's have the conversation. She had a 20-year-old dude come out with the receipts, and she's like, hey, my dude, do you have those receipts handy that I wanted you to have ready? Because I knew what they were going to label me. Oh, here they are. Right here. Take a look at the receipts. And the media is just dead silent. There's nothing they could say. So if you want to know why Katie Hobbs is not messing with her, it's pretty simple. Carrie Lake was like, I'll debate you in a car. I'll debate you in the street. I'll debate you in a bar. It kind of reminded me of like the Dr. Seuss rhymes that you might see on TikTok.
Not Dr. Seuss coming out with bangers. That man said, chicks with bricks come, chicks with blocks come, chicks with bricks and blocks and clocks come. Look, sir, Mr. Not, sir. Let's do tricks with bricks and blocks, sir. Let's do tricks with chicks and clocks, sir. What are you talking about? He said, look, and he's slanging. He said, first I'll make a quick trick brick stack. Then I'll make a quick trick block stack. You can make a what? You can make a quick trick chick stack. You can make a quick trick clock stack. He said, however you want to do it, we can do it. However you want to get it done, we can get it done.
Carrie Lake out here, foolish. She's clowning on him. So let's see what happens. I wish her the best, and we'll see. I believe she'll get to work when she gets in there. I believe she's going to get to work. I don't think she's playing games. Let me know what you think. Am I overrating her? That is a concern of mine. Concern of Fetterman is his mental acuity. So they titled this at the Washington Free Beacon, Bad Medicine. Doctor granting Fetterman clean bill of health is a campaign donor. Oh, Dr. Clifford Chen has given tens of thousands of dollars to Democrats, including Fetterman. So Fetterman's getting some heat. And if the people on The View are being honest, they can't defend it. We don't know what he knows or what he doesn't know. And it's not funny. As a candidate for Senate, it's a TV sitcom. Oh, it's funny. As somebody personal, as their well-being and their health, it's not funny. But let's go look at the sitcom. In this episode of the sitcom, the guy that we were running for president that has a thinking box, he got a letter by his doctor Clifford Chen. And his doctor says Fetterman has significantly improved, whatever that means, following his stroke and can work full duty in public office. Well, very generic. He's improved and he can work full duty. I mean, you could get anything to work full duty in public office. What do they really do? Marjorie Taylor Greene has a podcast. AOC's got her things going on. Like, what are they really doing? Somebody break it down for me how their days go. They're calling up a donor like, I need some cash. They're like, well, I need you to do this. And then you go to the beach. They're virtual. They don't even have to go to DC half the time. That needs to change. If MAGA gets some influence, you get back, that virtual stuff has to stop. Do a little bit of work. So I don't know what does that mean? He can do his full duties. Is his mind right? But he did release a letter. I'm not going to get too much into the letter, but this is more about the doctor. Chen's political leanings could raise questions about his medical assessment. Well, it's a conflict of interest. Whose race against Mehmet Oz could determine which party controls the Senate. According to campaign finance records, Chen has given tens of thousands of dollars over the years to Democratic candidates and party committees. He contributed $1,300 about to Fetterman's campaign, including a $500 donation in June of 2021, before he became Fetterman's doctor. Chen donated to other Senate candidates running in close races this cycle, including Val Demings, who was very aggressive in her debate with Rubio, and Senator Raphael Warnock. This isn't about politics, Fetterman campaign spokesman Joe Cavello told the Washington Free Beacon. It's an independent, detailed medical report written by John's primary care doctor based on his latest office visit from last week. So they initially downplayed the severity of the stroke and all that. And then it came out. We knew how it was pretty bad. Then his wife, Giselle, said that the person who was doing the story, she did probably a little ad lib, and she should get consequences doled on her. Well, let's look at the doctor. Who's this Dr. Chen? I don't know who he is, but take a look at this. He's the NPC meme. Fetterman is the most. This episode of Fetterman, we need to do a TV series, Fetterman, and just call it Fetterman, right? This is Fetterman's doctor. He's got the Ukraine flag in the bio. He's got the muzzle. Like anything that you would expect from like the NPC meme is him. Stephen Law says, no surprise. Freeloading Fetterman's rich donor says he's fit as a fiddle. Why is the Fetterman campaign continuing to stonewall on the real health status of their candidate? And why is the media covering for him? At this point, I don't care. You don't need to give me the papers anymore. All I have to do is ask and hear that you don't want to give them. That's all. And I'll factor that into my decision. Same with Trump when we were talking about his tax returns. Which, we asked for your tax returns, whatever reason. Trump was like, I'm being audited or whatever. Fine. He didn't give them. Factor that into your decision. I don't need to keep asking. For me, I don't need to keep bringing it up. It's obvious. You don't want to release it. You've got it from this biased person. That's the information. Process it. I don't need the question asked anymore, at least personally. But it's good to get awareness out there. I just thought that was funny. Latest episode of Fetterman. Who knows what's going to be next? There's no way he's doing that debate. If he does that debate, that might be another live stream moment. When is that? That debate should be up soon. When is the Fetterman debate? Because I thought it was a week from. No, it couldn't have been a week from the interview because the interview's been out for a week, right? So I don't know. But I will look for that. And we'll definitely do a breakdown. If you want to know why I'm not for government power and spending, it's pretty simple. They just waste money. See, the government doesn't earn any money. So they're just like a kid or a spoiled kid or whoever that doesn't have to earn anything. If you want something, you get it. So if you want to know how San Francisco politicians can have a $1.1 billion budget for homelessness and somehow manage to only make homelessness worse, here's a public restroom in the city, or that the city is building, that cost $1.7 million and will take 2 years to construct. And I don't want to do what China, I don't want to be a totalitarian country like China, but China can build a damn bridge, a tunnel, a building in like 24 hours. For us, 2 years, 1.7 million, and you get a bathroom. That's what it, I understand that property value is expensive out there, but damn, that's not a good use of money. That's why I'm for it. That's why I do rock with libertarians. Some conservatives they want to decrease spending. We'll see if they're really about that life when they get a little bit of leverage, a little bit of power. But somebody said this is what happens when you care more about fixing the stigma associated with the problem than fixing the problem. Let me know what you think. They're crazy out there. You watch out. Ducey was trending on Twitter. And Ducey plays this press room game like a chess game. So he'll do a move to set you up for a move. And Karine Jean-Pierre hasn't gotten that memo yet. Well, actually, I think she got the memo. She just can't play the game well. I think that's the biggest problem. And this is a short clip, but here's Karine Jean-Pierre.
So you're asking oil companies to further lower gas prices. So you're asking oil companies to further lower gas prices. What makes you think that they are going to listen to an administration that is ultimately trying to put them out of business?
See, I think she knows she's being set up because she's talked to him enough. One of the things that you don't want to do here is ask a question. So when he says this is just strategic in general for these type of things, this press briefing. I mean, in real life, when you're just talking to somebody, if you're having an authentic conversation, questions are great. Like if you really want to know, this is not an authentic conversation by either side. This is a political propaganda battle. So when he says this,
so you're asking oil companies to further lower gas prices. What makes you think that they are going?
You see her face. She knows she's being set up. She's like, damn it, I can't mess with this dude. This dude's good. You got to give Psaki credit. Look at her face. You got to give Psaki credit. She went to battle with her. I think she liked it too. She liked doing that. I think she's going to miss that. She liked going to battle with Ducey. She was very good at it because you've got to give Psaki credit because she had the losing argument. So pretend you had to defend what this administration's doing. It's easier to attack what the administration's doing. So remember, that's a handicap. Jen Psaki had the disadvantage, and she went to battle respectfully, even though she was trash, and I think she lost the battles, but what she was smart about was yes, queen. So if she didn't know what was going on, she would come with she was witty. She had a snapback that had nothing to do with anything or really had no substance, but people on Twitter would be like, ooh, look how she owned him. Karine Jean-Pierre doesn't have that. I don't have that. So I'm not knocking her for that, but she's in that role where that could come in handy. So she knows she's just getting beat. So when somebody put her out of her misery, I like her. I don't have any beef with her. I don't know why she took that job. That's not the right job. You have to be a professional liar for that job. She is not a liar. You look at her face, she cannot lie. That's not the job for you if you're not a liar.
So you're asking oil companies to further lower gas prices. What makes you think that they are going to listen to an administration that is ultimately trying to put them out of business?
Do not ask a question. Do not. Because even if Ducey wasn't trying to set her up, it gives Ducey control. You do not ask a question. You do your snapback. You do your redirect. You do not ask a question here.
So you're asking oil companies to further lower gas prices. What makes you think that they are going to listen to an administration that is ultimately trying to put them out of business?
What I would say is they don't have to listen to us. We think that they would want to do the right thing while our country's in the middle of a proxy war, or however you want to say it. We think they'll do the right thing. We want to tell them the will of the American people. Even this is a lie. I want to tell them the will of the American people is for them to do the right thing. What's best for our country? Do not ask him a question. And, I kind of feel like I'm talking about this like I wish I could talk to her. What is she doing?
How is the administration trying to put them out of business?
What is she doing? Why does she need paper to answer that question? She's not prepared. This is the same thing that we're seeing with Kamala. She's completely unprepared. How can you not? That's an easy question to answer.
So you're asking oil companies to further lower gas prices. What makes you think that they are going to listen to an administration that is ultimately trying to put them out of business?
How?
This is easy. We're not trying to put them out of business. Their profits are huge. This is not the right thing for our country. This is what the will of American people are. That's not a hard question to answer. Basically, when they accuse you of something that you really did, all you got to do is lie and say that's not really it, and then spin it. She's making this job too hard. What is she looking at in her binder? You don't need the binder for this. I don't know why. I actually like her. I actually think she's a likable person outside of this role. And I know she was on TV talking about the race stuff and all that, but if you want to be on TV, I'm going to end with my next segment, because I have a hard out in 10 minutes. I'm going to end with this discussion of the house or field Negro. And I don't want to accuse her. I don't mean this as a negative thing. I actually want to bring it up as a legitimate conversation of discussion. If you want to be cozied up to whoever and you want to make money, you want to be on TV, you have those aspirations, then you have to talk the race stuff. You have to. I don't think that means she's a bad person. I think it means it could be, I don't think she believes it. I think it could be just, I want to have this job. I have this aspirations. I don't think it goes against my morals to say this about Trump or this about black people or this about non-black people. She's fiddling through her book. What are you looking for? There's nothing there. There's nothing you need for this simple question. She's not going to make it past the end of this year. Why is she looking through the book? She has a talking point for every topic. I get it. And if you're off the talking point, you're in danger. But you've got to be able to add it. You've got to be able to. So why she stepped into mud here is because she asked the question, and I think she asked the question because she wanted to buy time to find the answer in the book. If you're going to use the book, you got to find a better way to get the answer. Get rid of the book and do it digitally. I know that puts it in danger with hacking or something like that. I don't know if they're even allowed to do that. Her system isn't quick enough. We're talking about the strategic oil, petrol reserve. You should be able to, he just talked about it. It should be like right there. What are you looking for?
So you're asking oil companies to further lower gas prices. What makes you think that they are going to listen to an administration that is ultimately trying to put them out of business?
How is the administration trying to put them out of business?
See, she thinks that's an own. You see, I can see by her face. She's trying to do it as an own. That's not an own. You don't ask the question, you say the statement, because that's just an opinion. It's not a factual, like we just decreased it by 15 million barrels. It's you're trying to put them out of business. Now, we have proof of him saying that, but it's still not a factual statement. You can lie and say we're not. Don't ask the question.
trying to put them out of business?
Well, they produce fossil fuels, and this president says he wants to end fossil fuel.
And then she sets herself up to get clipped like that. I'm going to end with this topic here. I think it's a good topic I haven't had this discussion in a minute. Let me make sure. Do I have it up here? I might not even have it saved. Let me get back into my Twitter real quick. And I'll end with this topic because it just came up and it kind of caught my attention. For some reason, Farrakhan was trending. I don't know why Farrakhan was trending. And another touchy topic for YouTube for sure. But here's the clip that I saw. I don't think this is why he was trending, but here's the clip that I wanted to base this on.
Because Pharaoh had promised them wealth and nearness to him. And there's no slave that don't want to be near his master. See, the house Negro was always like that. But the field Negro, he understood. House Negroes say, Massa, we house is in trouble. Field niggas say, let it go down. They not interested. But now.
Okay, so that's the classic house versus field. This is not, I'm not bringing this up from a race standpoint. So if you have that in your mind, I don't blame you. Take that out. I am not bringing this up from the standpoint of race. I'm bringing it up from the standpoint of being enslaved or restricted in chains, physically, digitally, whatever. That has nothing to do with skin color. I don't know who needs to hear this, but being enslaved historically never has and never will going forward have anything to do with skin color in general. People want to be in control. They need to control others. The whole world could be full of dark purple, darker than me skinned people, and there would still be this concern of slavery. It's not a skin color thing. In general, the topic of slavery. There's just human nature, savageness of humans. That's like saying a lion trying to get a gazelle is like racist. No, that's what they do. People want to dominate other people. So I said it's a good classic analogy that Farrakhan uses here. But because people are on this thing and they're doing yes, queen, and to Farrakhan, I'm like, okay, it's a great analogy. But I said, if you're going to apply these labels, first of all, if you're going to apply the labels, at least apply them accurately. Let's be clear on who Massa is. If you're going to talk about Massa. And Massa here isn't Biden, but this is what Massa or someone who is controlling the Massa that controls Biden would sound like. And that's not what these Yaz queens on Farrakhan really are getting at.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It's a long.
So that's what a Massa sounds like. Even if they're trying to joke. Only a Massa would joke with you like that. Only with somebody who has power over you would joke around with you like that. So if you're going to do the labels, you've got to, we don't even know, and this is not a black or white thing. This is Biden over the whole country. You've got to understand, we don't have to agree on it, but you've got to first figure out the world is not as simple as a slave plantation where you know who the master is. Whoever owns the plantation, the family that owns it. The world isn't that simple. Who's the master of the world right now? You might not even be able to have an honest discussion about who the master of the world is right now without getting banned. So you've got to accurately assess that. And a lot of people are not doing that properly. And I say, just my opinion, I say these labels, house or field. So just in case you may not have heard this before, I'm sure many have, but some people say the house person, house Negro, was the one who wanted the comforts of they would be in the house and they would be the servant, or they would fix things, or they wouldn't have to go in the field and pick cotton. They got to sleep in a pretty nice bed. They were still slaves, but they got to sleep in a nice bed. They didn't have to do hard labor all day. Then the field, the person in the field was like the grunt worker. You had to do the hard work. You got whipped. In the house, you didn't get whipped, to my knowledge, or nearly as much, unless you did something. So it was safer in the house. So that's the house versus the field mentality. It's nothing, not about black and white. You could argue Brian Stelter. I'm just opinion, just throwing it. You could say that could be a house, what he did for the establishment on CNN. He's booted off now, but that could be a house type Negro. Like, okay, I'm going to do this. I don't really believe it, but I'm getting my paycheck. I got my swimming pool. I got my mansion. You know what I mean? We're all going to be enslaved. So I don't look at, people use the house term as if it's a derogatory. I don't necessarily look at it like that. If the house person does, and typically the house person would look down on the field person. So that's why it would be negative. But just in a vacuum, if you say we're all slaves, and that's why I brought up Queen Jean-Pierre, we're all slaves, well, I'm going to get my paper. I might as well just say what Master wants me to say. I get my job, I get my car, I get my all that. And you want to go against the grain, but you don't have a job. You get fired, you get censored, and we're both slaves. So you can see both sides of that argument. I just don't have it in me to do that house stuff. I can't do it. I couldn't do it. You couldn't pay me $1 trillion to do what Don Lemon does. You couldn't pay me. You could pay it to me, but you think I could do that every day? It just wouldn't even be possible. The house and field people can make fun of each other, but they're both slaves. You can go ahead and make fun. Like people call me a house, they'll call me whatever. That's fine. But what's the accomplishment? You call me a house, I think you're a house, or you're ignorant, you're an NPC, nothing's accomplished. We're both slaves making fun of each other while the CDC decides to put, mandates out. So that's my end on that is let's take a look, and it can apply to anyone. So thanks a lot for stopping by. I got a hard out, but I will be in touch. Got more uploads. Don't forget to visit middlemaga.com because I'm going to be doing a couple non-political ones on some of my other channels. It's funny that I have a channel called Tim Pool After Show, and it's weird how those videos actually, I have like 200 followers there. It's weird how those videos actually get more more views than the videos on this channel. I don't know how it works. I'm not claiming anything, but I'll put all those on middlemaga.com. Check it out. Thanks a lot. Take care.